As you know, your ex-wife gave an interview to ABC News and another interview at the Washington Post, and this story has now gone viral on the internet. In it, she says that you came to her in 1999 at a time when you were having an affair. She says you asked her, sir, to enter into an open marriage. Would you like to take some time to respond to that?
No, but I will. I think the destructive, vicious, negative nature of much of the news media makes it harder to govern this country, harder to attract decent people to run for public office, and I am appalled that you would begin a presidential debate on a topic like that.
Is that all you want to say, sir?
Let me finish.
Please.
Every person in here knows personal pain. Every person in here has had someone close to them go through painful things. To take an ex-wife and make it 2 days before the primary a significant question in a presidential campaign is as close to despicable as anything I can imagine. My two daughters wrote the head of ABC and made the point that it was wrong, that they should pull it, and I am frankly astounded that CNN would take trash like that and use it to open a presidential debate.
As you noted, Mr. Speaker, this story did not come from our network. As you also know, it is the subject of conversation on the campaign. I get your point. I take your point.
John, it was repeated by your network. You chose to start the debate with it. Don't try to blame somebody else. You and your staff chose to start this debate with it. Now, let me be quite clear. The story is false. Every personal friend I have who knew us in that period says the story was false. We offered several of them to ABC to prove it was false. They weren't interested because they would like to attack any Republican. They're attacking the governor. They're attacking me. I'm sure they'll presently get around to Senator Santorum and Congressman Paul. I am tired of the elite media protecting Barack Obama by attacking Republicans.
Speaker Gingrich got a standing ovation in this auditorium for saying it was basically a completely inappropriate question.
And he also scored points in the Monday night debate by attacking Juan Williams' questions. I had a conversation with the speaker after, look, you've moderated these debates. This is one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. It is a story that is making the rounds in the campaign. Is it an issue I'm happy came up in the last 48 hours of the South Carolina primary? Of course not. Is it an issue that voters in the state are talking about today? Is it an issue that he several times before the debate talked about in a very calm manner?
Right. He talked about it today earlier in a much different manner. Right. You knew how much of this was debate theatrics on his part? Did you know he was going to have that response?
I knew he was going to challenge the question. I don't read minds. I don't want to make a judgment about the speaker's response. I've been covering politics for 25 years. I understood that if I asked the question, he was not going to be happy with it, and he was going to turn on me. I knew that coming in. Again, you make the judgment call. Is it an issue in the debate? Might not be a great issue, might not be an issue we'd like to talk about, but it is an issue in the debate. Some of the other candidates are talking about it. Voters are talking about it in the state. It was my judgment, my decision, and mine alone. If we're going to deal with it, let's deal with it up front. Let's not try to sneak it into the middle of the debate somewhere. And people at home either agree with that or disagree with that. You make a decision. You ask the question. And this is politics. This is politics. He's trying to promote himself, promote an agenda. Of course he's going to attack us. I don't take that personally. We had a nice conversation afterwards. I've had a long relationship with the speaker. We don't always get along, but I get how the business works.
Panelists, what do you all think?
Let me just talk about this. Look, this is one of the most explosive moments we've seen in debate history.
Debate history?
Debate history. It was also one of the harshest attacks we've had on the press that I can remember in a long, long time. Very personal in the beginning. And as a political matter, I think Gingrich saw a fastball coming, and for this audience, he smacked it right out of the park. I think there's a reasonable chance, after talking to people here tonight, that he could win South Carolina based on that answer.
I've heard a lot of people online saying that tonight who have been live blogging this.
But I want to say one other thing. As a journalistic matter, John had a duty to ask that question. It was the elephant in the room. After all, his wife is accusing him of hypocrisy, being the man of family values, who had this private life that was in conflict with what he was preaching, and the man who went after Bill Clinton on a similar set of issues. He would distinguish it because Clinton was a sitting president, but nonetheless, for a lot of voters, there is hypocrisy in that. So that was the elephant in the room, and John King is known by most of the people here as one of the fairest people in the country. I think he did the right thing. I think he asked the right question. We had the explosion. We move on.
Let me end with this, Mr. Speaker. Jeb Bush, former governor of Florida, whose nomination is highly sought after, he says he's going to stay neutral in the race, has called on all of the candidates to have a very positive tone and think about the independent voter as we move forward in the general election. I want to play something you said about President Obama last night and ask if you think you're consistent with that admonition. Watch.
The founding fathers of America are the source from which we draw our understanding of America. He draws his from Saul Alinsky, radical left-wingers, and people who don't like the classical America.
Can you win independent voters in a general election campaign with that message?
Absolutely. Ronald Reagan did it by a landslide in 1980. He carried more states against Jimmy Carter than Franklin Delano Roosevelt carried against Herbert Hoover. And the reason's simple. What I said last night is the truth. Nobody in the elite media wants to cover it. Nobody's ever gone back and looked at what Saul Alinsky stands for. Nobody ever asked what neighborhood organizer meant. He wasn't organizing boys and girls clubs. He was teaching political radicalism. It explains his entire administration. He is who he is. It's not that he's a bad human being. My impression is that he has a good family, that he really loves his children and his wife, that he's a very pleasant person in some ways. But the objective fact is he believes in a very radical vision of America's future that is fundamentally different from probably 80% of this country. And nobody in the elite media has ever wanted to dig into it, ever wanted what? Why would he veto the Keystone Pipeline? Why would he kill jobs in America? Why would he have a National Labor Relations Board attack Boeing? Because it fits the model of Alinsky radicalism.